Cheers, sir.
Cheers, my dude.
And with that, we are starting another episode of Bad Beard's podcast. I am your host, Sam Schneider. I am Bad Beard. And we are here today with Jeff.
That's me, Jeff G Holt.
Jeff G Holt. Well, why don't you go ahead and give your own introduction? Who are you, man?
Oh, man. Dirtbag biker.
Dirtbag biker?
So, my whole deal is Jeff G Holt started as a skateboard BMX kid. I worked in the bicycle industry for 25 years, doing everything from cutting tires for the World Championship mountain bikers, pump tracks, early BMX stuff, all the way up to cutting tires for pros, like crazy stuff.
When you're saying cutting tires, what do you actually mean?
So what you do, like for pro downhill guys and pro cross-country guys, they like their stock tires their way. And if they're going to win world championships...
And you're talking tread.
Talking tread.
Yeah.
So we would have a mini tire cutter, not something like a supercross guy would have, but
like a
smaller version of a hot knife, and we would cut 300 knobs off a tire. So the pro would feel good enough that he could win. So a lot of it was rolling resistance down the middle, so you cut all the knobs off down the middle. Now they make tires called semi-slicks that do that, but back in the day they didn't do that. So you would cut all the knobs off and then shape the corner knobs so they could get the proper traction they needed in and out of the turns, like crazy stuff. And then...
What year was this that you were doing that?
Mid-90s, early 80s to mid-90s.
Okay.
I worked in the bike industry. And then from there I ended up... My dad was in a horrible motorcycle accident. Actually... last week, it was his 50th anniversary, being paralyzed from the waist down from a motorcycle. They gave him like 3...
You mean to tell me motorcycles are dangerous?
Yeah. And I was... My parents were like, there's no freaking way you're ever going to ride a motorcycle ever in your life. And I joke about it now. I was like, you defy me to do one thing, and I made it my life's work. But I mean, everybody's cool about it. So I started riding Vespas. I built a Vespa and had it on the corner of the house where my dad couldn't get to, and I'd push it down the alley and ride it. And then I ended up buying a 76 Shovelhead, and then this crazy dude. I forged my driver's license when I was 16 to get tattooed, and I made friends with the biker guy that owned a tattoo shop in Anaheim. And when I bought this Shovelhead, he was like, bring it into the back of the shop.
Because you grew up in California?
I grew up in Anaheim, California.
Anaheim, okay.
Like 2 miles from Disneyland.
That's SoCal scene.
Yeah. In the 80s, like all those movies were about my life. It was crazy. I lived a charmed life back then, you know? Like everybody wanted to move to California for the reasons, like the surf, the sun, the sand, BMX. So I mean, it was very fortunate to grow up at the epicenter of that. And I ended up getting a Harley. This old biker dude in the back of the tattoo shop, Anaheim Tattoo, taught me how to work on a Harley, and I kept it there for a while, and then I ended up selling the Vespas and Lambrettas and having that, and then the rest is history, man.
What'd Dad say?
He wasn't happy. He didn't even know I had a Harley back there until I moved to Portland, Oregon, and took it. And then when I came back, I started working still in the bike industry. I came back from Portland, Oregon, and then ended up getting drafted into the big leagues of being a magazine editor during the height of magazines with Hot Bike, Baggers, and Street Chopper. So I was kind of an associate editor, worked my way up to editor of each of those, and then became the brand director. And then, as we all know, magazines took the ultimate. And I kind
Paper's a funny play these days.
I got let go, and I started V2 Visionary.
So to back it up a little bit, you went from BMX, 2 wheels, found your own way onto a motorized version of it.
Yeah.
That took you up to Oregon, and then you just fell deep into the scene of motorcycles. And were you riding inherently, or was that already
I already wrote, so I had a marketing company in the bike industry the same time that X Games was getting big. So we did a lot of marketing for the companies that were going to the X Games, the Do Tour, stuff like that. Yeah. So I knew how to take photos. I knew a little bit of Adobe Illustrator, and I knew how to, I could write okay for press releases.
Right.
And then when a guy named Courtney Hallowell, friend of a friend, who was the editor, he was the editorial director of those magazines, hired me. At the beginning, I was like, that seems like a lot of work. I don't think so. I'm just going to keep doing my thing in BMX. But then the bottom kind of dropped out of action sports that year. I saw him in another party again. He's like, that position's still open. I just had a kid. I needed health insurance. And I was like, how's your health plan?
Yeah.
And that was it. And then by the time I started and doing all this stuff, getting into that rock star editor life and traveling the world on a company credit card and riding motorcycles for a living, like the next year the insurance sucked. And, you know, I was like, I don't care. You know, I got bit by the bug. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, then back living in California, which was good for me, you know, getting divorced because, you know, living that lifestyle. And, I mean, it's, you know, it takes its toll being a magazine editor. You know, you're working 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've figured out, you know. And
It's hard to separate the lifestyle from the work when it's so endemic.
There was zero. Like, my little hobby of working on Harleys became a full-time job. You know, the people that I worked with were they were like journalism majors, but they never turned wrenches on bikes.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hired in as the guy that kind of knew how to write, kind of knew how to take photos, but could work on bikes. So I kind of was like, you know, second-class citizen over there, to tell you the truth. But then I met the guys from Dirt Rider and Jimmy Lewis and those guys, man. And Jimmy Lewis was kind of, we almost got in a fist fight in the garage. And I mean, that kid's the king of, I mean, that dude, if you don't know who he is, he's the king of all motocross. Like, race Dakar, race Supercross, race motocross. Like, the guy's a living legend. I didn't know who that dude was. Like,
Yeah.
dude was telling me I couldn't park my Harley there, and then he's leaning a dirt bike against a freaking road glide with, you know, you could replace plastic all day long. You can't replace a road glide fender.
Right.
So, like, I was like, dude, don't touch your shit. Like, you're getting knocked out. And he was like, yeah. So we came to blows. After that, we were good friends. And
Yeah.
he really showed, him and Courtney Howell showed me the ropes of how, A, corporate America works, because I never had a corporate job, and B, how being an editor works. And it worked really well for me. I you know, like I said, I graduated all the way to the very top before, you know, I got let go.
My experience on the West Coast in the motorcycle scene was really fascinating in the sense that, like, I had no idea how, one, the corporate world worked, two, how endemic to the motorcycle culture, like, you know, you throw in press.
Yes. Press rides are great.
All right, so I'll figure that out later. The important thing is still recording.
Battery's still going.
We're still good. We just tripped some breaker somewhere, so
Yeah.
it'll just get a little hot. That being said, you were kind of a part of a timing with the journalist.
Yeah.
You saw it all, and so at its peak, and then to where it kind of.
I was even like to the point, seriously, I was at the point like, we should really start being on YouTube. And I was like, no, we got this other service and it pays us more. Like, it became a greed thing, not with the Bonnier Corporation, dude. I think they kind of knew they bit off more than they could chew by buying all the magazines.
Yeah, put it under one roof.
And then it kind of slided. And I'm not going to lie, dude, like, the golden children of Cycle World got everything, and then everybody else kind of got scraps because they were the first people there. And it was like at the point where Cycle World, because all the OEMs pulled out because of the lead thing and all the other stuff, that the money that I was making through my 3 magazines were getting siphoned out to pay for that.
Right.
And then I knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
And it just came a little earlier than I thought. And so I literally had nothing, got fired on a Monday. I got job offers the next couple days, and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, my wife Maggie, was like, you're taking 4 months off of work. She was a nurse at the time. And you're going to figure out what you want to do with your life. Like, you're 40-some years old. Like, you don't get, like, a second and a third chance. Like, you need to figure it out. And then the bottom line, man, to cut to the chase of how all this came together, my business partner now is a guy named Dave Rowe. He was the head of sales over there at the magazines in the V-Twin department. He quit like a year before. Just kind of the harbinger of what happened after that. So if you don't have magazine salespeople, you don't have pages filled. You don't have editorial pages. You don't have anything. So he hit me up. Hey, man, let me know if I can do anything for you. He worked at a place called Digital Throttle. They're huge, So 6 months later, like, I didn't know what I was going to do. He called me. He's like, why don't we start something? It's like, you're ahead of the curve on this performance Harley thing. You've been pushing it since
What year is this you're getting into?
This was 13, 14, 15. So, like, I was pushing performance then. And then, Vito Visionary will be 6 years old.
This is Dynas.
It's Dynas, FXRs, Sportsters, anything with good suspension, big brakes, race suspension, performance stuff, which is crazy because now it's the norm.
Right.
So when I came out with my version of Hot Bike, there was a pro skateboarder on the cover on a white Dyna with black parts. He's rocking the horns, and it was the day before Thanksgiving break. And the head of all the magazines saw it and lost his mind. He was like, how come there's no girl? How come it's not a red and chrome bike? How come it's not this and this and this? And I was like, I put a period on all that crap, and now we're moving on with the way Harleys are. Like, full face helmet on the cover of the magazine. Like,
yeah.
most of you moto dudes, we would get complaints when there was helmets in the magazine. The opposite of when people aren't riding helmets in the other realms of motorcycling. So, I mean, we worked our way through that, became, number one again on the newsstands, and did all that stuff, but then it was all for nothing. So then V2 and Visionary started, which is the now, and our big thing...
Just to interject, bringing it full circle.
Yeah.
This is the story of Jeff G Holt that brought us to literally today.
Yes.
We are sitting here in the fan zone where you have a huge, several trucks lined up. There is a block of V-Twin Visionary. And so what is V-Twin Visionary?
So what we started off as was just a normal online magazine, through my friends at companies, through things. Like, I just was like, this is going to be the new version of Hot Bike. Online, whatever we're doing. So we did that, and it was all well and good. And then Harley, we did a lot of shows along the way. We had a Sturgis show. We were doing performance bike shows before anybody. So there would be like 13 bikes showing up. And then now, there's 60, 80, 100. Like Sturgis last year was 130 bikes.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So we ended up doing this stuff. And so before pandemic, we were doing small shows with Harley. And during pandemic, when it hit hard, we came out east, went to Nashville, got shut down, went to Daytona, got shut down, went to Mama Tried, got shut down. And Harley was like, we're bringing everybody back. It got to the point where we were out on the road doing cross-country trips. Like, I was picking up a bike in Virginia, and me and my wife were riding all the way cross-country to California just to do editorial. But there was no gas stations open. There was nothing. But
it was a weird time.
But when it became the second year of pandemic, Harley was still out. But they still wanted shows. So we had Harley all over our rigs, and they were like, if you're going to do the same thing, you can still use the name, but nobody's going to be there. Nobody's going to support. They wouldn't even give us stickers because of contact tracing.
Oh, shit.
Like, it got that crazy. And I understand they're $1 gazillion a year corporation. They can't be liable.
Yeah.
And then we proved to them we could do shows with little to nothing or nothing and do cross-country rides and editorial on each of the stuff. So come back after pandemic, like, we do 30 shows a year with Harley a year, And, we have started off with a truck and trailer. Then we got a toy hauler, 45-foot toy hauler, and a 450. We drove that thing into the ground after 2 years. So now we have a race car trailer with a 450 and a brand new Sprinter that we do dealer visits with.
Well, you've got a staff out there.
I have a staff of 8.
There's a number of things happening over there at the footprint.
Yes.
And so V-Twin Visionary has grown beyond just the shows. You've utilized and taken in everything that you learned from the editorial side of things. Yep. You're leveraging online presence. You're on the socials.
Yep.
You're uniting people together.
And I want people face-to-face.
Face-to-face.
It's post. It's the world we live in now. You know this, man. You're out in the streets. Like, you're out riding bikes. Like, people want to... How many times you bought something on Amazon and it wasn't cool and it was like, People now want to see, touch, and feel the stuff.
We're going back. I'm stoked.
We're going back to talking to people,
Well,
giving hugs and love. You know, I love this.
With this show, like, granted, we're talking deep dick stuff for the motorcycle industry, which may not resonate with everybody.
Yeah, man, whatever.
But the reality is that these conversations with real individuals are not like manufactured. If we're moving into whatever weird, timeline of AI and all this stuff, like
right, which gets even weirder.
It gets even weirder. And so I
think more and more people want to be face to face now.
Yeah. Well, and as this is shot, so it goes out. There will be no cuts, and so
right, which I love.
Yeah, it's just clean and honest and authentic to whatever it is. And so I hope that as it continues to expand, and as well as your brand continues to expand, and we get to play as we do.
Man, and your brand too. Like, everything you do is
you already got the batter beard, man. You already beat me.
It doesn't matter, dude. You're a very talented dude. You make things happen. Like, the best companies in the world use you to do your thing.
Very nice of you to say.
And it's the truth, dude. Yeah. Well, they should call them out. But, like, seriously, man, like, you need as many accolades as you can get because you're on the bike, you're living this life, man. You're a very talented dude. And it takes, I hate to say this shit, but it takes a village in the motorcycle industry. Not just Harley guys and not just street bike guys and not just German riding guys and not just this and dirt bike and this. Man, your life changed when you threw a leg over a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And, we're all in the same thing together because of that.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Well, I'm excited for what we're accomplishing here, and then equally the conversations as they continue to expand, and the world that we're kind of creating around each other, and like the ecosystem that is not just like surviving after the pandemic. It's like turning into this thriving operation that we all get to like.
Better than ever now.
It's fun, and like I feel like a lot of bullshit got stripped away. Where a lot of the walls and gatekeeping that you've had to deal with along the way. It's just like people are just fucking hungry and receptive, and so. As this continues to expand and as we continue these conversations, we will keep doing it. V-Twin is going to keep having their shows. They're going to keep awarding the best bikes and all things considered, bring them out, and then I look forward to getting on a ride.
Oh, man, yeah, I already invited you to our big thing that we do every October in Maryville, Tennessee, which is the V-Twin Visionary Smoky Mountain Tour, man. We've been doing it for 5 years, and I want you out there slinging your camera with only the best coverage of what we do. So, I'll make sure you're there.
Well, I appreciate it. And this is the further portion of the show where you get to talk about whatever you want to share, where to find you, where best to see what's coming next. And this camera, that camera, your choice.
My personal things is at Jeff G Holt on Instagram, at V-Twin Visionary, at V-Twin Daily, which is the big one, VTwinVisionary.com. That's all the blah.
That's it, man. Well, and we could talk all day, but we lost half our power, so it is getting steamy.
It's a sauna.
It is a sauna in here. But I look forward to having you back on the couch.
Thanks so much, dude. No, anytime. You know this.
This is great. All right. And got warm in here.
Dude, it's awesome.
Holy shit.
I fucking love it.